He got benched.
It's wrong. It's over.
He got benched for it,
that's
too.
a Broussard callback.
You can't just be doing things like
but
that.
But also, he was, of course it was
Sorry,
a Broussard
Jenna,
he was
callback.
mocking Broussard. Yes.
It wasn't
Mocking
mocking all the
It's
guys.
over.
It was an homage.
Speaking
was an
of the
homage.
guy
It
who
wasn't a
says it
mocking.
like that, Chris Broussard joining the conversation. Hey, Broussard, we're talking titles. Our guy Nick, big list guy, as you know, of course. He's got one for you to pick apart this morning. Please do that. Nick, at the beginning of the playoffs, you told us which players have the most to gain by winning a title this year. How does that list stack up today with who we've got left in the postseason?
Well, there's one major change, which is when I made my initial list, I said, listen, I'm not going to include guys like John Morant, Trae Young, who would obviously gain a ton, but have no chance of winning the title. Little did I know, Trae Young would still be alive. So new and improved list, Trae Young on it. But let's show the bottom four real quick, or the guys 5 through 8. Number 8, Nate McMillan, interim coach. How about championship coach? 35 and 15 since he took over the Hawks. Could he follow Ty Lue's path of hired midseason, lead him to a title? Number 7, Chris Middleton, second round pick, G League. Number 2 option on a champion? Maybe. Number 6, Ty Lue could become just the 4th coach ever to win titles with multiple teams. The only other 2 to do it in the last 50 years, both coach Shaq. Phil Jackson and Pat Riley, Ty Lue. I think he cements himself as a Hall of Famer if he win the title. Number 5, Devin Booker. Oh, good stats, bad team. Score 70 points, nobody cares. I probably care if you score 40 again and do it in the finals, so he's number 5. But now the guys with the most to gain. Number 4, Paul George. Locks in the Hall of Fame. Right now, a 7-time All-Star, only one first or second team All-NBA, title locks in the Hall of Fame. How about this? Lives in LA. Sports movie. I don't know who would play him, but here's the story. Comes back home, is the conquering hero, but then melts down in the biggest spot. And then the next year, his co-star goes out. Everyone writes him off. Oh, no. Go win a championship. That right there, $30 million opening day guaranteed. And greatest Twitter vindication ever. Way off P. Delete it. Pandemic P. Delete it. Playoff P with laughing emojis. Delete it. Am I talking to myself there? A little bit. But so there you go. Paul George. All those things if you win the title. Number 3, the man who didn't even make the list initially because I didn't think he had a chance. Trae Young. The greatest playoff debut ever is Magic Johnson. It culminated with one of the greatest playoff games ever, the Game 6 where he stepped in for Kareem. I think this playoff debut would be better. Magic in those playoffs averaged 18, 11, and 9, but he also had Kareem, the best player in the league, alongside him for 15 of those 16 games, averaging 32. Trae's averaging 29 and 10, and in Game 7 on the road, Kevin Huerter was his second best option. I think he also steals the best young player title for my son Luka. Luka, it's middle afternoon Slovenia. I hope you're not watching. If you are, get back to work, young man. You got to figure out who your coach is going to be. But if he wins the title, I think Trae gets best young player title, and this is the controversial one. Deion Sanders, Mike Vick, move over. Second greatest Atlanta athlete ever. Hank Aaron is the only one above him. Think about it. Look at the list. Wild's mad at me. Vic will understand. Vic's reasonable. Vic and I talk about these things all the time. Number 2, point guard, Chris Paul. Second most to gain. Top 5 point guard ever, undeniable with the title. Magic, Oscar, Steph, Isaiah, Chris Paul. Stockton, nope. Nash, nope. Jason Kidd, nope. I don't consider Iverson a point guard, but no to him as well. Jerry West, shooting guard, by the way, America. Don't argue with me about Jerry West. Saves the mid-range game. I know Chris Broussard will like this. Back in my day, guys shot the mid-range. Well, how about back in our day, they shoot the mid-range? You're only going to defend the 3 in the rim. Chris Paul's going to eat your heart out. And most importantly, Broussard vindicates this guy's MVP vote. Oh, you laughed. Not if he is holding finals MVP. Oh, yes, he does. And then number 1, Giannis. He was number 1 before the playoffs began. He remains number 1. He could claim he's the best player alive. I don't know if people are going to buy it, but it's a credible claim to the throne. Because the guy right now that people are calling the best player alive, other than LeBron, is Durant. He just beat Durant in a Game 7 in Durant's building, scoring the most crucial bucket of the game on Durant. So I understand a lot of people will push back on it, but it's a credible claim to the throne. Who's the list of guys with two MVPs and a Finals MVP? It's Kareem, MJ, Wilt, LeBron, Moses, Bird, Magic, Duncan, and I'm going to add Bill Russell. Bill Russell doesn't have a Finals MVP. He just has 11 Finals championships, and the trophy's named after him. They just didn't give it out then. So that right there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus Russell's 9. 9 of the 14 greatest players ever. Giannis could add to that list. And then lastly, Broussard, I think he becomes a top 25 all-time player. Right now, he's below the group of guys like McHale, George Gervin, Scottie Pippen. He skyrockets past them. He's below the Russ, Iverson, Stockton, Ewing group. He moves past them. I think he even moves past the James Harden, David Robinson, Kevin Garnett group. I think he's right alongside D. Wade, Barkley, Dirk, that group with the title. And the only active players with a better career resume than Giannis if they win the title, LeBron, KD, Steph. That's it. So he has the most to gain. Aside from the MVP vote thing, Broussard, I assume you're going to say it was like we did this together. That is, you agree with everything, and it's some of the most brilliant television you've ever seen. What say you, Christopher Broussard?
I will say this, Nick. As far as your lists go, this is some of your best work. All right, this is some of your. I know that's not saying much. But this is some of your best work. I would eliminate Chris Middleton, who obviously has something to gain, but I would get Monty Williams in there. Monty Williams, taking a team just like Nate McMillan from no playoffs to the championship, he'd have to get some love. I agree with you on Ty Lue. Ty Lue would become arguably the best coach in the game right now. Like you said, I think he solidifies he's a Hall of Famer. And so he has a lot to gain. Devin Booker, look, a lot of this depends on how they play in the finals, right? What if Devin Booker averages 30-plus in the finals and gets the finals MVP? Maybe gets up, but I have no problem at 5 with him. I switch Paul George to 3 and Trae Young to 4. I do think Trae would move into the top 5 point guards, assuming we don't consider Luka, LeBron, and James Harden point guards. But I think he moves into the top 5 with Dame, Steph, Kyrie, and Chris Paul. But Paul George, I've got at 3 because you're right, the vindication would be sweet. To win it without his best player, Kawhi, to do something nobody else has been able to do with the Clippers, and you can't put on him the injury. You can't play the injury card, right? Oh, everybody was hurt because Kawhi was hurt. So I'd have to give Paul George some love. Correct. He becomes a Hall of Famer, as you said. CP3, agree with everything you said, becomes the 5th greatest point guard ever. Only thing is it doesn't vindicate him being MVP because now people, I think, are legitimately saying Chris was great. It's definitely 1 and 1A, but the 1 might be Devin Booker. I think that's arguable. I'll put it this way, Nick. If I had to lose one player in the Suns-Clippers series, if I'm Monty Williams, I'd rather lose Chris Paul than Devin Booker. I think they can win this series without Chris Paul. They can't win it without Devin Booker. And then Giannis, of course, number 1. Yes, top 25 all time. The monkey's off his back. He does it without a super team, which is huge. Durant, LeBron didn't do that. He does it without a super team. He does it for the franchise that drafted him. Huge. Here's where I disagree with you. No way he can claim to be the best player in the world. No way. Because there's still questions about Giannis even if they win this. It's only, I don't know when it became, if you win the championship, you're the best player in the world. No, Dirk was never the best player in the world. Chauncey Billups was never the best player in the world. Giannis will not be the best player in the world. He's still not better than LeBron, Kevin Durant, at least. And I can maybe throw a few more because he's not a closer. Like, that question's still going to be out there. He's not a closer. And so I think look, the monkey's off his back. There's no asterisks. But people will look at in the back of their mind all the injuries. He's still not a closer. But, hey, the monkey's off his back. You can never hold that against him. So he would definitely gain a ton if he wins.
And Wilds, I don't know if you're going to elaborate on the Giannis point. In case you are, I'll stay off it. But I do think that he could become a closer. We could see more of it in the next couple rounds. Like, I think in order for them to win the title, he's going to have some more moments. Well, he scored the biggest bucket of the game in Game 7. I mean, or second biggest to Durant's game tire in regulation. He had the one in overtime. But Wilds, go ahead.
Well, he also shot one off the shot clock with 1 second left. So I think Broussard has a point. And Broussard, I just want to, I know we're up against the time. Are you saying that are you putting out an asterisk title? I felt a little like with all the injuries.
I don't believe in
asterisks. The fact that, like, okay, you got close, though. You're, like, flirting with it. Well, what are you saying with all the injuries if Giannis wins the title?
What I'm saying is, I won't hold the injuries really against him. I'm saying he will not be viewed as the best player in the game, and we still have the questions of, is he a closer? Those questions still will exist. And it's like Kevin Durant's titles in Golden State. Yes, the monkey's off his back. We respect him. It has solidified him as a made man, all right? However, people do look at it, yeah, but they were a 73-win team. They won a championship without you. And people still felt he had something to prove by going to Brooklyn and doing it without such a great supporting cast. So I think those questions would still be out there for Giannis.
Broussard, the best player alive thing, I just want to, again, I think LeBron's the best player alive, but he was hurt and he wasn't very good in these playoffs. So I understand people arguing against it. I also saw what KD just did. I think he has the most credible case he has had up to this point.